A question I get asked a lot is, how do you deliver an engaging session in a virtual way? So this morning I did a short pilot session on cross-cultural collaboration for EGN. We had about 25 people in the class, which is a standard class size for an executive education course. So we start very simply with an agenda, nothing special there. But very quickly we then go into an activity. So we ask them a question, in this case using Mentimeter, what comes to mind? That allows you to adjust your content slightly to what you've prepared or focus on certain things that come out. So thereby allowing you to sort of customize your content even further. So then we go with some content. So we use some credible academic research, some definitions. We talk around that. We give some examples. We explain it a little bit more. But then we very quickly come to the specific insight on culture that's maybe not so obvious. Right? We don't need to do a full literary review, but we get straight to the thing that matters. And in culture, this is the thing that matters, is that culture hides more than what it reveals. Strangely enough, what it hides most effectively from its own participants. And this is the key part about culture. We relay that to the participants, and this is then what we focus on. So after talking about that a little bit more, we close that with a test to see if they've really understood what culture is. And we do that via a quiz. So again, we use Mentimeter. We ask 6 questions that ultimately come up with a leaderboard. So they've answered their 6 questions. It's time driven, so there's a little bit of pressure. So mistakes do get made. But ultimately, a leader comes out. And in this case, it was Aline who had the most points and came out the leader out of, in this case, 19 participants. So after people have finished the quiz and understood what culture is, we then look at how culture presents themselves in the individual. So first we expand the definition of culture a little bit. We give them the 5 dimensions of culture, and then we present them with their profile based upon the GlobeSmart assessment. And they do a self-reflection. So for about 3 minutes, they get asked a question, they reflect, they write some notes. So after they've looked at their own profile, we then look at how culture impacts when they work with others. So we set the objective as leveraging similarities and bridging the gap. So we then give them the profiles of the people in their team and ask them to do a group exercise. So how can team members best work together to ensure that the contributions of team members with different styles are fully incorporated? They have a group discussion, and then they come back and we discuss how you can close the gap. So after the group discussions, we then do a debrief. Each team presents their recommendations or findings, and then we have a discussion around that. And to ultimately come up with some suggestions, some hints and tips from our side that we then share with the participants. Finally, before we close the session, we ask them to present some takeaways. What are they going to work on after this session? We ask them to write it down. We can do that in the Menti, but we do that so that we can, 1, share the findings, but 2, we can hold them accountable weeks or months from today and say, well, did you really do that? Did you follow up with that? And that's how we then achieve results and achieve behavior change, for example, to ensure that what they've learned is applied. And that's how we keep it interesting as well as educational.